You know what's crazy? The fact that Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain came out in 2015. This video was posted in 2025. That means we've gone without a Metal Gear game for 10 years. That's right, no Metal Gear game for 10 years. Nothing in this franchise came out between 2015 and 2025. Absolutely nothing at all. And that's a crying shame. But, out of nowhere, Konami decided to grace us all with the return of this beloved franchise with a remake of what is widely considered the best game in the franchise. What's up, everyone, and welcome back to Frickin' Uncultured. My name is Chandler, and today we are going to be reviewing Metal Gear Solid Delta Snake Eater, a remake of the third game in the franchise. As stated at the beginning of the video, it's been 10 years since we've gotten a Metal Gear Solid game. If you don't count the Master Collection, Volume 1, which is the first 3 games, just ported over for newer consoles. And then nobody counts Metal Gear Survive as a Metal Gear game anyway, so yeah, it's been 10 years. So let's go ahead and jump in, but first things first, thank you all so much for watching, and if you wouldn't mind dropping a like and subscribing, if you're not subscribed already, we would greatly appreciate it, and then also make sure to hit that bell icon so you're notified whenever Andy or I end up posting in the future. Let's get started. Snake Eater opens up with a covert plane ride into Soviet Russia airspace. Inside the plane sits our protagonist, codenamed Naked Snake, an agent of the American government being sent into enemy territory to retrieve the scientist Nikolai Sokolov, who is being held against his will and forced to work on a project that will revolutionize nuclear warfare. So you're aware, if you're not already, but every Metal Gear game is basically spy thrillers and political dramas, and every entry has to do with revolutionizing warfare, revolutionizing nuclear technology, because rival countries like having power and showing off their military might. And in the words of Nelson Muntz,
gotta nuke something.
Snake jumps out of the plane and makes his way into the unforgiving jungle below, and, after being debriefed on his mission, moves deeper in behind enemy lines. Everything goes off the rails, though, when Snake's mentor, known as the Boss, shows up and puts a wrench in the plan and sets the stage for our story. Even though this game is almost 21 years old by the time this video goes up, that's all I'm going to say about the story, and it's because it's one that I recommend that you experience yourself. It is heartfelt, it is suspenseful, and there's so many little narrative plot twists that happen throughout it that it's enough to give you whiplash on your first playthrough. If you're someone like me who loves a good story in a video game though, then I can't recommend this one enough. Hell, I can't recommend any of the games of this franchise enough since they're all so heavy-handed in their narrative. That's enough about the story though, because if I talk about it anymore, I'm going to start letting some spoilers slip, so we're just going to go ahead and move on into what the gameplay is like. To those of you who are unfamiliar with this franchise, or have only played Rising Revengeance, the gameplay of the Metal Gear games is centered around stealth. During the debriefing after you land in the jungle, you're told that you're being sent into this mission naked. I'm pretty sure I already made this joke in the Donkey Kong Bonanza review. Now, even though I'm sure there's plenty of people out there who would like to get a good look at Snake's cheeks, believe me, those people are out there. Going in naked doesn't mean going in, well, naked. It means that you have no weapons or food and will have to scrounge up your own means of defense and sustenance. Once you find some weapons, they are then stored in your backpack for you to add to your, basically what is this game's version of a weapon wheel. But you only have 8 slots in that wheel though, and those slots can be taken up by either firearms or your different types of grenades, so make sure that you fill out those 8 slots wisely so that way you have the weapons that you need at the right time. As for food, there's plenty of flora and fauna to find in the jungle to capture and eat to keep your stamina meter up. Everything Snake does takes energy, so you need to keep an eye on that meter and make sure that you have plenty of things to eat on hand, which, in my opinion, can sometimes make the game monotonous, especially when you're in a big firefight and have to stop what you're doing to feed Snake. Weapons and food aren't the only items you'll be collecting though, as there are other items you can come across to aid you in your mission. Things like night vision goggles, bug juice, and even the trusty cardboard box can all be found as you explore, making things easier for you should you decide to venture off the beaten path to find them. Once you do find some items, they will be stored in your backpack for you to assign to one of 8 spots in the item wheel for ease of access, much like your weapons. On top of all these many things to find, there's also medical supplies that you can come across that you can then add to your arsenal. Medical supplies are also important to keep on hand, much like food. While food keeps your stamina up, you have healing items that bring your health back up, but depending on if you've been shot, cut, or burned, you may need to apply some first aid to Snake, doing things like stopping the bleeding, using stents on broken bones, and bandaging up lacerations so those serious injuries don't impact your overall health meter. Much like having to feed Snake though, you have to bring your gameplay to a halt in order to doctor him up as well. While you do have access to weapons, it's important to remember that this is also a stealth game and that keeping a low profile is sometimes the better way to go. And this entry though, they introduce camouflage to blend in with your surrounding environments. Did you think it was me? It's clearly not big boned enough. As you progress through the game, you'll come across a variety of different types of camouflage, from types of suits that help you blend in with the ground or in the rain. There's plenty of variations to be found and face paints to go with them to make your stealth mission just a little easier. You can also use your camouflage to get closer to enemies, taking them hostage to get information from them, use them as a human shield, or incapacitate them for a short time. Or you can just be an awful human being and murk them instead. You do have to bring your game to a screeching halt though in order to change what camo suit and face paint you have on. Between all the sneaking and the enemy firefights, you do have boss fights as well, and some of them are really damn good, especially one with a soldier known as the End, which puts your sneaking abilities to the test. And honestly, all of them are good, but I'm not really going to go into too much depth on them because, much like the story, they are better experienced for yourself. We're going to move on from gameplay now and talk about graphics and art style. How does the game look, and how does it run? As far as art style goes, I like it. To me, it comes across as a mixture of realistic and cartoony, and that's okay. While this game does have a lot of serious themes, it also balances them out with humor, and the art style reflects that. It still conveys a level of seriousness when it's time to get serious, but when it's time to cut that tension, it's also able to convey a tone of comedic relief. Graphics-wise, I think the game looks great. There is one thing I want to touch on in my playthrough though, and that's the difference between quality mode and performance mode. Quality mode prioritizes how the game looks while dropping the frame rate down to 30 FPS. And if you're a regular viewer of this channel, you'll know I'm not the biggest stickler when it comes to frame rate. But son of a bitch, quality mode is not the way to go, at least on PS5, which is what I played on. I started out in quality mode, and the moment I got to take control of Snake, I thought I was going to throw up just from turning the camera. It's choppy, it's blurry when moving quickly, and I immediately opened the settings and put the game on performance. Performance mode is great though. It prioritizes frame rate over graphics running at 60 FPS, making for a smooth experience. Unlike this one time whenever my dad took me to Six Flags, which for those who are unaware is an amusement park, and I had food poisoning, but the full effects hadn't really hit me yet, so I wasn't aware that I had it. And so we spent the entire day riding roller coasters and walking around in the Texas heat. And so at the end of the day, whenever my mom picked me up to take her back over to her house, we stopped at McDonald's. And stopping at McDonald's was a mistake because I threw up all over the floor in the entryway of McDonald's. That was not a smooth experience. The last category I'm going to be going over for this game is soundtrack. And it slaps hard. If you're familiar with the James Bond franchise, then you'll know that the large majority of them open with a theme song specific to that movie, and majority of the time, the songs are just named after the movie itself, such as Adele performing Skyfall for Skyfall, and Billie Eilish performing No Time to Die for No Time to Die as recent examples. Snake Eater takes some inspiration from that because once you finish the intro of the game, you're treated to a cutscene with some really cool visuals and a song playing in the background titled Snake Eater, performed by Cynthia Harrell, who also sang the song for the game's original release. The music throughout the game also does a great job of setting the mood. If everything is calm and collected, then the music reflects that, putting you at ease. But the moment you hear this, then the music ramps up and you know it's fight or flight time. That's everything I wanted to talk about for Snake Eater though. Actually, I take that back, because I forgot to talk about Snake vs. Apes. which is a side mode in the game where you have a small handful of maps to traverse and capture some of the helmet-wearing apes from the Ape Escape franchise. And I love it to death, and it just makes me wish we had more Ape Escape content, especially since Astrobot had you playing a version of Ape Escape as well. Funnily enough, Astrobot is also in the Snake vs. Apes mode too. If you're playing on Xbox though, you have Snake vs. Bomberman, since PlayStation owns the rights to Ape Escape. Now that's everything I wanted to talk about whenever it comes to Snake Eater, and overall, I think this is a great remake and is also the definitive way to play this game. And I know there's some people on the internet who will disagree with me in that statement, but what's new? Honestly, my only complaints about the game are how often you have to stop what you are doing to do something completely different, and it just kind of puts a big halt to the entire experience just for you to do one tiny thing. And I know some people may say that that's a charm of the game, but we live in the time of streamlined gaming experiences, so I can personally go without. Here at Frickin' Uncultured, though, we give this game the official rating of 9 out of 10, and hopefully it sells really well and we get remakes of other games in the franchise. Who knows? Maybe we'll get a Metal Gear Solid Alpha, or a Metal Gear Solid Beta Sons of Liberty. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, please drop a like and also a comment. Let me know what you thought about it, and then also make sure you hit that subscribe button and the little bell icon so you can be notified of future uploads from either Andy or I. But that's all I have for this one. We'll see you next time, and remember to stay uncultured.